Awesome, Peter. Welcome to episode 9 of Not Financial Advice, the 30K to $1 million challenge.
Pleasure to be here, my friend.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you. And we have some great discussions today. We're talking crypto. We're talking day trading. We're talking...
We're talking everything that I used to hate and still do.
Shiny, flashy, volatile. But I'm excited for this discussion because we've spoken. And there's a lot of mindset stuff that we want to talk about, like risk reward versus like how consuming things are emotionally / waking up at night maybe. And also like how what I want to touch on is sort of like how everything looks good until it doesn't look good. And then it's a terrible place to be. In a little more stable news, they're only thanks to a guarantee that I made. Etsy store is off and running, and I'll be talking about that. But please lead the way, Dr. Flynn.
All right, I will jump into it. And I will actually preface with my Etsy store is going terribly. And I'm sort of at the point where I'm like, I either really dive deep into it or I actually just cut it and go focus on the Amazon store and the other things that I'm doing, because I'm like, I've got a lot of balls in the air and I'm wondering if I'm trying to split myself between refreshing Binance 14,000 times a day, doing an Amazon store, and actually learning about different companies to invest in. So looking at that with, it'll be a challenge, I think. So trying to figure out what to do with that, because I've made 0 sales so far, but I've also not put in a whole lot of effort.
And did you, just so the people at home know if it's a good investment, did you get the wealth spell?
Oh, I haven't got the wealth spell. We said it was not part of the challenge. We said if you get the wealth spell,
it's cheating.
Then it's cheating. But if we change that at any point, I will be getting the wealth spell.
Wow.
I want to know what you actually get when you order it. I really want to know.
I feel like we should buy one on company money.
Yes. Does someone like call you and be like, hello, this is Dr. Wizard. I'm Harry Potter. And just like, Wingardium Leviosa or something. I don't know. But let me share screen to start with. To this one here. Just had to make sure I have my nudes off in the background. And I'll black this bad boy out. And I'll explain what has happened over the past week. We've seen, what's that, an extra $3,000 over the past week?
Healthy.
And if I hadn't have made a few poor investment decisions, it would be about $5,500. And I'll go into these now because I made some day trades because I thought I could time the market a little bit by looking at what was happening. And if I maybe open some of them up and show you, okay, AXS coin price, which is the one that I put a fair bit of money into. And I'm just going to open that bad boy up and we'll have a look. CoinGecko, the one and only. CoinGecko. And I'm just going to go to the past 7 days. And what I've been seeing over the past, actually go past 14 days, is we've had a lot of spikes. And this is where it joined Binance. And so I tried to actually open this one up here. I tried to make another trade based on MBO or Mobox joined Binance here. And it wouldn't let me buy it. I don't know why. For some reason, it would not let me buy the coin. And it would have been just under $4 when I would have bought it. And as you can see, it's way up here. But I haven't figured out because it's just not showing up on Binance, even they said it was going to be for sale on Binance. And I had $15,000 that I'd turned from AXS to put into this. And I'll go through the process and the thought process I had around doing that. But really here is kind of what Benji would call a social arb trade. And I did it for Axie. So I got an email saying Axie is joining Binance, and that was a few weeks ago now. And so when they joined Binance, I was like, well, if more people can buy it, I just assume it's going to go up in price. And so all the coins that could directly transfer into that. So I think Dogecoin couldn't, Polkadot couldn't, Litecoin couldn't, and Ethereum I think could. So all the ones that couldn't, I left where they were because I didn't want to change into Australian dollars, and then to that, and then I invested in that. And so that went really well. And then when it hit this peak here, I was like, damn, I should have sold there because it dropped down a fair bit. That was like a 20-25% drop. And so over here, if I jump back to 7 days, when I hit this peak here, I was like, all right, when it hits another peak, because it's having a few big peaks and troughs, I was like, when it hits another peak, I'm going to sell $5,000 each day for 3 days. And so here at this peak, I sold $5,000 worth. And I was like, well, it would have been like actually just down here. And I was like, oh, damn, because it started going back up. And then here, so I sold it at 101 Australian dollars. This is in US dollars, 101 Australian dollars. And then at 103 Australian dollars, I sold another 5,000. And then it popped up to like 116 Australian dollars. And I was like, gosh, damn it. And then at about 113, so just on the way down, I sold another 5,000. And it's sitting down around, actually, if I just check what it is in Aussie dollars at the moment.
And that's
sitting at 108 Australian dollars. So I've got about $7,500 left in it at 108 Australian dollars currently. And so I've just been slowly selling this off. And I sold another portion of it. Where was it? It was on the way up here was when I sold my first $10,000 worth. And that was when I kind of decided to, rather than sell $10,000 at once, sell it in $5,000 tranches, because after I sold the $10,000, it sort of went all the way up to here. And I was like, maybe you should dollar cost average it, because when I buy stocks, I'll dollar cost average over a few month period going, because normal stock market goes up a lot slower. This is so volatile. So normally I'd buy, and then a week or two later, I'd buy some more. Then a week or two later, I'd buy some more. So I thought I'd do this, but over a period of days. And so I tried to dollar cost average, and it probably worked out. If you look to my average selling price, it would have been about around $106, $107. So that was my thought process. And then thinking it's going to drop all the way back down here because it's been doing that consistently. And now it's just staying up. And I was just going to pour that $15,000 back in until on Saturday, I got an email saying this was going to be listed on Binance. And I was like, golly gosh, let's get around it. And then I just can't find it anywhere in my Binance app. So I'm going to have to dig a bit deeper to how to buy it, although I don't really want to buy it now because it's all the way up here. So that's been my week. And the other stocks I had, if I jump to this one here, Tyro is down 6.92%. I'm very bullish on this and very confident. I actually bought more outside of this challenge because I don't have any spare cash at the moment for this challenge. So 6.92% in there. Webjet is currently 5.32% down, but that I believe is because Australia is just in a bit of a hole at the moment with COVID. And Centre Group hasn't changed this week. It's still at $2.56. So that's no change for the week. And the only thing that we'll have to change really quickly this week is I need to put $3,500 towards Amazon. So I'm going to be liquidating $3,500 of one of the stocks in here, but well, not stocks, one of the coins in here, but I haven't decided which one just yet. I'm hoping we get another peak so I can sell a little bit more. Yeah. But that's where I'm sitting at the moment. Is I'd say overall, as you can see, I'm slightly down. I'm $104 down here. And at the moment, about 20, just under $20,000 up on the crypto. So things are looking good on the crypto side, and day trading, it turns out, is not for me.
Yeah.
I'll pass to Benji, and we'll get into the psychology and the issues that maybe I'm having lately around being invested in crypto, having not come from that background.
I think my mic's working again.
I can hear you. Good. You're very good.
I'll ask the question a lot of people asking when that occurs, because it's like stocks are down 100 overall, crypto's up $19,000, and everyone's like, obviously do more crypto. So it's like I'm excited to address that because it seems blaringly obvious to everybody, but I 100% understand what you're saying, and I want to go deep and shed that light on people who are sort of doing the same thing, just in case they haven't experienced what we've experienced yet. I will be sharing my screen. Oh, don't look how the sausage is made. Okay, I will black this out as well. You can see this is not a green week for me. I'm down $2,550. But I have been sleeping like a baby. Yes, snoozing really well. Just before I jump into why I'm down, what's up, I just want to point out how healthy this graph looks. And I'm excited by this because I feel like even though we've made some volatile sort of risky moves, which I feel like you have to, obviously, in order to get the reward to go from 30,000 to $1 million, I almost feel like this challenge provides us the accountability to take the gains and not gamble them away, which you probably wouldn't do if you were just making great gains outside of documented challenge or a head-to-head challenge with someone else. So I actually feel like by documenting this challenge, it's going to actually make us be a lot more rational when it comes to our high risk plays, especially as we start to acquire more and more like principal capital. So I'm excited for that. And also, just to touch on it, we are going against S&P 500. That's this tiny little snout down here. Top 500 businesses in the US. So I get they are down. They had a couple of really down days, and then they pulled through at the end of the week just to go down just $180 on their 30K. For me, I think all of my stocks are down this week, funny enough. Discovery and Funko, they're my two trades from DumbMoney. And it's funny because they're both down a lot. Funko was actually down, I think, 10%, and it's gone up 4% on Friday. So it was like it was hilarious, like putting it in, being so confident, being like, I should double down, and then it being down 10% just like a week later. But I'm holding those, seeing how they go. They make up about $7,000 total. Etsy. Oh, no, not Etsy yet. I'll get to that in a second. Funko Pop. Nope, this one. HCW Biologics. This is one I've held on to from the IPO saga, which I've put down here in red now because the historic data, surprise, surprise, did not prove to necessarily indicate what was happening in the future. 5%. And so that's been a massive loss, obviously the biggest. There was $1,000 in there. I'm holding on. I should liquidate that and put that towards Etsy ads or something, which I'll get into, but it's honestly, I just haven't thought about it. And then Apple's down a little bit on last week. The one thing that's up, and I spoke about this a little bit, is I'm actually playing the US AU dollar market here.
Unhedged.
I am 100% unhedged. I really am not educated in it. All I know is the Australian economy has been shut down for a lot longer than the US economy is now. I know the US is also printing a bunch of money, so I haven't balanced the sheets or anything. But my social arb or my strategy is basically, if the Australian dollar strengthens to the US dollar and I get less money, I'm just going to be working harder. And that's okay. It's not as fun as working less hard, but like I'm just going to be learning more and working harder. And if it goes up, I'm trying to turn 30K to $1 million as quickly as possible. I need a little tailwind. So funny enough, this has gone from $1.36 to $1.40 this week. So I'm actually down a lot more than the $2,000, that $2,500, but this has actually brought it up maybe $1,500. So the tailwind is doing very well at the moment from the US dollar to AU dollar switch, but I don't want to count on that at all. Now, that last thing that I put in here, because I didn't really know how to track it, I'll get you for it. Microphone problem.
No, you're all good.
I'll be back. I've put $75 into Etsy ads, and I've made back $67. Now, you can see it's red on the sheet, down 10% on money spent, but this is a phenomenal return on investment for me, and I'll get back into it as after we pass the baton back to Pete. I've got one product up. We've sold quite a few, a decent amount, a dozen or so of them. Split testing price, split testing colors, split testing everything, and I'm almost breaking even off the bat and selling it for quite a cheap price too. And I'll get into pricing and how I believe I can make this positive and just increasing the price. And it doesn't seem to have an effect on the conversion rate. But I'm very, very happy with how Etsy's going. And as you know, I am an Etsy man until this hits $60,000. So I've seen the crypto markets being absolutely roaring in the background, but I've actually, and I'll chime in as you talk about it. I've actually, for one time, I'm in the crypto markets outside this challenge, but not very much. I'm more in the NFT markets, but I've actually enjoyed seeing them go up and trying to distance the FOMO and trying to like separate my mindset from them. I refresh it like once every 2 days, coin market cap, just being like, how's it going? Oh, it's absolutely still on fire. And I follow a couple of people who's like Alex Becker, who's like got 400% returns on like Cedarfy and these other gaming cryptos. And I'm just like, I feel weirdly good not being in them. But but the only reason I'm not in them, I think, is because I've made this little $60,000 pledge. So it's interesting. And I do feel like long term, this Etsy play, which we'll get in the details in a second, is stable and like solid. It's actually justified because of the utility of them actually getting a digital product that they really like. But I'm curious to see, and it's almost kind of cool because we're almost comparing our two plays at the moment. So for me, down this week, but just working behind the scenes on that Etsy store. Oh, that Apple NFT I think is down 3K from 15 to 12, which is a big drop.
But it could, like, that's the thing with that though, is it can go up and down so fast, the same as the crypto market, which is the reason I'm sitting on 48K this week, is because the crypto market's had a fantastic week. And maybe that leads into the next thing, which is the mindset thing, which we talked about earlier this week. And my background is investing in, and like you said before, my 3 companies I'm invested in are down, but I'm super confident because I understand how their business works. I understand why they're down. I know they're going to make heaps of profit in the future and they're going to be really successful businesses. So I'm looking at those, even though I'm $100 down, and I feel really confident and I can sleep well at night. I've actually been having trouble sleeping a little bit around the Binance and the crypto side of things, even though I'm $19,000 up, I think it was. Even though I'm $19,000 up, I am waking up 2 or 3 times a night. I'm checking Binance, even though I shouldn't be doing it. I should be on my phone.
Everybody knows. Everyone's like, why? You're like, yeah, I know.
I'm spending nearly an hour a day on my phone, according to Screen Time, refreshing Binance to see what's happening with the coins that I own, because I don't understand why it goes up or down. Like I understand that there's utility in like AXS because it's a game that people play, but it seems like it's just going up because Bitcoin and Ethereum are going up at the moment. So everything's kind of going up. And so it goes up with them. And I'm like, well, what if they go down? Like I could easily go from being $19,000 up to actually being, thousands of dollars down. Because when you look at the crypto markets, if I just maybe share screen and go like, let's go Bitcoin price. And I'll just share screen with you guys. But if you look at this and go, let's look at, a year. As fast as it goes up, it can go down. And when it goes down, it shoots down. And so, it can lose 50% of its value overnight, essentially. And so that's where I'm sort of sitting going, well, like whilst I'm sitting pretty at the moment and I'm like, shit, yeah, doing well, feeling awesome, $19,000 up there. I'm also like, it could go down just as fast as it goes up. And so what I've done is I actually sold a lot of the crypto because I just have this feeling, and there's no reason for this feeling other than looking at past graphs where it's sort of gone like this and gone, I feel like because it's gone up so much recently, it has to go down, which leaves me with a gamble, a 50-50 gamble here of it either keeps going up and I've made a terrible mistake, or it shoots down and I've made a great trade. And when it's down, I just put that money back in and essentially wait for it to shoot up again, because then it'll be a whole lot more. And the reason, well, the first trade, like I said, I sold $10,000 worth. And because it continued to go up after that, I decided to go to more of a dollar cost averaging. So rather than selling $10,000 at once, I sold $5,000 at once. And I still had the same sort of mistake. So I'm looking moving forwards at like creating myself a strategy for dollar cost averaging as a percentage of how much I want to sell. And so I was thinking of going 10% per day. So over 10 days, I'd sell the entire amount that I do want to sell, but I'd get the ups and downs over that rather than just going like here, here, and here. And I think for me, that's going to even out some of the risk. But also when you even out some of the risk, you even out some of the reward. Because if you get it at the exact right time, which you can't pick, then you can make a whole lot more money too. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. Like, and because I don't know why it goes up or down, like it literally keeps me up at night wondering, am I going to wake up tomorrow and it's gone? Like legitimately, like, I wake up and I check and I swipe it and it's instead of saying 34,000 and now it says like 14,000, I'd be like, I've made a terrible mistake. And I know it's pissing my girlfriend off because every time I like swipe my phone, she just looks at me and I'm just like, oh. Yeah. I'm not someone who spends a lot of time on my phone normally. I try not to be on my phone when I'm around, especially my girlfriend or around other people. So to be on it, swiping up, I'm like, I just have to get out of this mindset and maybe like time block 3 times throughout the day where I can swipe it. Because that's kind of where I'm at the moment is it's successful, but I'm not confident in the success that it's had. And I feel like, I don't know what it's called, but when you don't have something, right, you don't fear losing it. A lot of people are happier before they get money. Then once they've got money, they suddenly fear losing their money, status, power, etc. Like it's a loss aversion. So we hate losing twice as much as we enjoy gaining.
Mm.
And so I'm at that stage now where I feel like every time the crypto market goes down, I feel like I'm losing and it really hurts.
Mm.
And so I've got to get over that in order to become a functional human being again, get some decent sleep in, and also be confident in the trades that I'm making. And that's why I'm going to implement this this dollar cost averaging. And so I've sold in total $25,000 worth. I put $10,000 into VeChain. And that was based off of having a look into that, understanding that it's about, green, like being a green crypto and things like that. And I think from the social arbitrage, I'm trying to like, a lot of people are like, I love green things. And especially when crypto uses so much energy and Elon Musk is talking about finding a better way to have crypto that's not so energy dependent. So I was thinking something green. And then I guess the shitty part of this is a few of my friends who are full into crypto, they're very, very heavy into VeChain. And they see it doing a whole lot better. So it's part of a, understanding and listening to them. And the big social arbitrage here is it being a green crypto. So it's being good for the planet, essentially. So I've got 10K in there, which hasn't really moved since I've got it. And then I've got $15,000 sitting in Australian dollars at the moment. And that's me banking on a little dip coming in crypto. And I want to put that back in either AXS. That was going to go into MBO, but I can't figure out how to do it. AXS or Ethereum. They're the two that I'm sort of looking at. And I was looking at Ethereum up, ETH up, which is a leveraged Ethereum. So the problem with ETH up is you can actually lose more money than you've put in. So if you do that one, you have
That's a lot of refreshing.
You got to refresh a lot. And the problem is that it's very heavily leveraged from what I understand. So even a small movement down could really, really hurt you there. So I'm sort of toying up, do I do something with leverage there? And just like, because realistically, if ETH doubles, my understanding is it goes up by about 7 times. So if I was to put $15,000 of that in ETH up and ETH were to double, go from the 2,300 it was to the 4,600 around it is now, you'd have made, what's 7 times 15, like $120,000. You'd have made a very, very healthy profit off that one. So
that brings me to something that I do as well, because I am less loss averse, but my brain, a trick that my brain plays is always like, for example, like CDeFi that went up like 400%. It's like, can you imagine if I withdrew every single bit of this challenge and put every single penny that I own into it at its lowest possible point, and then sold it right at its highest possible point, I'd be halfway to $1 million by now. And it's like, my brain plays, it's almost like a reverse FOMO where I just like project things that I should have done given like the actual outcome of things. And that's what sort of makes me feel like I'm chasing the perfect trade, because I'm just like, well, that's not that good, because if I did that at the perfect time, that would have been great. And it's that sort of leads me to like the shiny object, like where's the next one? How can I perfectly time it? Which I feel like, especially since making this pledge, is a lot less healthy than my Etsy focus this week.
Yes, yeah. It's much more sustainable long term.
Much more sustainable long. The only, keep getting microphone warnings. The only I'll fix this by next week. The only thing that I can see like the benefit of crypto for me and why I'm in it outside this challenge is the social arb play on it's a superior currency than a fiat. It's decentralized, people own it, it's easier to transfer. If one of them, I don't know which one is the problem, should become like a global currency. And so more people are going to move into it.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm just pulling some stuff up in the background. But it's really interesting thinking about like what crypto is and how it works. But if I just pull up the past 5 years, actually, I'm going to pull this up and I'll share screen, because I think this is another reason to look into crypto is I've looked at Google Trends and inflation. And what you can see here is that this year especially, we're starting to see more and more people take a lot more notice of like what inflation is happening. And one of the reasons people get into crypto rightly or wrongly is going, is it a way of hedging against inflation? And people say that about Bitcoin, about Ethereum. And the more people that buy something, that, the more the value goes up because more people want it. And so if people are seeing it as a realistic hedge against inflation, and I don't think we've seen what inflation is going to do from all the money that's been printed. I think there was a stat saying 60% of the world's money has been printed in the last 18 months, which is just like mind-boggling.
Outrageous.
And for inflation, what that means is there should be at least 60%, like there should be huge inflation, but there's not. And I feel like over the next 12, 18 months, we might see things go up. And I saw Warren Buffett talk about inflation recently. He was talking about the price of building houses and the fact that raw materials were 60% up for most things, which means we're not seeing what's happening with inflation. It hasn't had that sort of drip down effect yet, but we will see it. And I think if people want to hedge against inflation, they're going to look at things like gold and especially like crypto. So, digital gold, whether that's Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. So I do believe, even though I don't think crypto has any huge reason for going up or down at the moment that I fully understand, because I don't think anyone can really predict it the way we can predict companies. But the social arb of more people buying it, more institutional investors buying that as well, is going to push the price up. And so that's my thought process around being in crypto. And that's why I shouldn't have sold that $15,000 worth now that I think about it, because I am expected to continue to go up.
But that's also why you shouldn't refresh every day. Because if we are in it for the long ride, it should be once a week to enter the numbers.
Yeah. But at the same time, because it goes like this, I'm like, maybe in the short term, I can literally sell at one of those peaks and buy it, which is the dumbest shit ever.
Yeah. That's honestly the big takeaway for me after talking to you and seeing you do the same thing. It's like, even if we don't have like a great logical justification for the specific coin you're in, say Axis, it's a game, but we don't have the stats on how many people are playing the game, how many people are using it as in-game currency versus actually trying to invest in, and why does it follow the Bitcoin pattern so exactly if it's like a utility token? We should be in it for the long term. If we're getting into one of these things, because that time that we're spending and the mental effort we're spending, the lack of sleep we're getting, and that taking away from our energy, that could be done towards an Amazon store, an Etsy store, a digital marketing product, or something that we can actually depend on.
This is an interesting thing to look at as well, just on that, because you said we can't see how many people are playing, but Axie actually has a live online player count at all times.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting to see. And this might be something to track over time, is does this increase? And as this increases, does the price of the coin increase too? So just a little thing that I have been looking at as well.
Yeah, it's interesting.
No, so good. And I think just on that, for me, like whether I win or lose doing this day trade of going, I'm going to sell here and try and buy here, I think it's going to be a good learning experience of A, it could work, or B, it definitely doesn't work and you've got to stick to things that you know and trust already. So it's going to be a learning experience either way. Hopefully it's a profitable one. The thing that I don't want to happen is for me to get very cocky or arrogant, have a few good wins and feel like I can time the market, and then have a really big loss that offsets the whole thing. And I think that could happen too. But one thing I got from DumbMoney was that they like to, when they go on something, they go big. And so when I was watching you do those Cardano trades, I was kind of looking at it going, all right, like he's got an opportunity to make money here, but what if you put 10K in? And so when I did AXS, I put everything in that I possibly could that could transfer over. There were 3 coins that couldn't do it. And so I left those in there, in those coins. So I put everything into there. Then I went VeChain, I put $10,000 into that. And then I sold $15,000 of the AXS, because I'm like, rather than making small little trades into things, I want to go bigger into each thing, bigger risk, bigger reward. And so far, it's reasonable, I'd say, reasonable.
I like it. That's a good takeaway for sure. And even me with the day trading Cardano, if you guys watched the last episodes, Cardano's doubled since I was day trading. And it's like, for me, refreshing and trying to like time the $1.17 to $1.27 that had been recurring. I should just put, obviously hindsight, 5Gs, 10Gs, 30Gs in there. and let it sit. But that brings me to the last thing I'd like to touch on. This is, say I put 30 G's in ADA, Cardano, and it doubled, and now I have 60 G's in there. I have no skills or knowledge or anything that helps inform my next decision. Like, do I sell that? Do I keep it in there? I don't have a skill that I built that I can like go and duplicate that on another crypto. It's like, because there's so little logic in that, apart from a social arb of more people moving into ADA or thinking it's going to be one of the best cryptos. It's like, it leads you with very little clues of what to do once you make it, or if you lose it. Imagine if that went from 30,000 to 15,000. I'm like, well, surely it's going to go back at some point. Yeah. It's sort of like I am with my IPO, where I'm down 50% on it. I'm like, I have no idea what it's going to do, and I really should just need to get out and get into something where I do know what it's going to do.
No, I couldn't agree more. And just, I guess the last part of that for me is, my plan is to continue. The second things get listed on Binance, I'm going to put, say, $10,000 to $15,000 into each one until I lose one. I'm going to keep doing that, because it worked on the first one. It would have worked on this one if for some reason, I literally don't know why I couldn't make that trade. It just didn't show up on my account, and would have worked really well. So the next thing that gets listed, because Binance sends you an email and says, this is going to be listed at this time. The next thing that gets listed, I'm going to find out why I couldn't make that trade. Maybe I need the pro account or something, and why I couldn't make that trade, and then just make that trade again, because I feel like the more people that can buy something all of a sudden, well, then the price could realistically go up each time, even if it's just a short burst, and then try and, again, sell, make it, you chuck $15,000 in, you make a 20-30% profit, you take your 4.5 G's, you get out and you put it back in something else.
So that would be, I love the social arb play, get it on when it comes on Binance. The exit strategy is quick exit strategy. Like,
for me, go up. Yes, I do want a reasonably quick exit strategy. And the reason for that is that I don't understand those coins at all.
Yep.
Because I don't understand those coins. Like, I get AXS kind of was like part of the game, but even still, like, it's got no huge real utility. And because it's got no huge real utility, I'm like, it's not going to realistically be worth that much, except to people playing that game or other people trying to do the same thing as me. They're just trying to sell it to someone else for more than they bought it. So I think I would get a lot of sleepless nights if I was holding onto that coin long term.
Yep.
But in the short term, I'm like, as long as Bitcoin's going up, then everything else goes up, right? So I buy into it, it goes up, I sell, and maybe I put it into Ethereum or Bitcoin, or hold it in fiat until I think a little dip's going to come.
Love it.
Currently where I'm at. But I do, if we move away from sort of the Binance, and because that's really all I've done over the past week, Etsy hasn't been great for me. I've run some ads. I feel like I definitely need to work. I'm not an artistic sort of person. It's not the prettiest thing on earth, and the photos aren't fantastic. And so I feel like when it shows against everyone else's, they're like, oh, it's not that pretty. It's very functional, but it's not that pretty.
That's the Etsy market is pretty.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to park that for a little while, but I'd like to handball over to you to talk about the Etsy and how you're finding those ads going.
Well, that's a great segue, because the one thing I did this week was try to make my listing pretty. Literally the one thing. So I'm going to head over to my shop dashboard.
Just while you're doing that, I just refreshed bloody Binance again, and I'm going to close my phone.
How dare you? How dare you?
Disgusting.
You need to donate $1 every time you refresh it. Have a little skin in the game. So essentially, I'll show you my listings. I've got 2 listings. They're the same product, and this is the beautiful thing about Etsy is you can just split test everything. So I'm just testing the 2 photos against each other. But I went through and I basically have tried to model the best listings. I've got like a sheet that I've compiled all the best photos. I went Pinterest, I went Apple's website, all this stuff. And I've tried to create very pretty female-oriented journals that people look at and just be like, oh, wow, that looks really nice. I want it on my iPad. And so this is the blush. This is the blush color. And you can see all of these photos I spent a long time on. And this is the same as Amazon. I feel like my competitive advantage on Amazon is my graphic design. And it's not just me. I have my sister who's very good at it as well. These ones were just me, but she helps. And I think these at the moment, they were about an 8 out of 10. I like to take them. I always say, take them to a 12 out of 10. And so what I'm doing now is I'm getting my sister to go take these. I've got the PSDs as like a default because I'm like, if you draw a Venn diagram of my skills, it's marketing and graphic design, where she's 100% graphic design. So like I mock up this, which I feel like is the selling points of the actual journal, all in order. And then I give it to her to like put all the touch ups, and she'll redo these stickers and make it look super pretty, which is ideal in this market. So this is the blush one. We're going to have to make these because we got the PSDs for each one of these colors, and then we'll just run them as separate listings. Now, here's the fascinating thing that I feel like is our in here. Actually, we'll go over here to orders and deliveries. We've got two things. First thing, everything is now set up, like all fixed costs, even down to the PSDs, the listing keywords and everything, all done. Like that took 2 weeks, I think. And now when we want to create new listings, it's very easy to duplicate and sub things in and out. So like the fixed costs, which are the one-time costs, they're all done. And now it's just like duplicating digital content, which is free. But already we're almost hitting a break even. You can see we're selling 2 journals. I don't know. I got to look into where these $3 ones come from, but $7.89 US and $2.89 US. Now they are the exact same journal, just split testing the photos and the price, which is probably not the best thing to do, split testing 2 variables. But funny enough, we've sold exact same amounts of each journal. And meaning that people seem pretty price insensitive in this area. This one's $7.89. We've sold 94 of them. This one's $2.89. We've sold 93 of them. And
then sold 94 or sold 6 of them?
Oh yeah, sorry. Sold 6 and sold 7. 94 in stock. I just put a random number of 100 in here. Have not sold anywhere near 94 of either of them. But what's cool is like, cool, if we increase our price 10%, we should be breaking even already. If we increase our price 15%, maybe we're going to have some people say no, but it seems to be for a digital journal like this, well within their price range to pay $7.89. So even if we just brought this one up to $7.89, we'd be in the green. The other thing, we do get some customer information, and we can do some upsells and some retargeting. Honestly, out of all platforms that I've really sold on, Etsy is phenomenal. They've got it down really well. So people who add their notebook to the basket, abandoned basket, they'll send out coupons to them. People who have favorited the item, they send out coupons to them. So I've set up some really brief ones of those. You can contact really seamlessly all of your customers and message them with like default templates that you can just sub in. Again, we sold these before they were ready, which is another key for anyone doing something like this. Is like, we wanted to test the market before we really put a lot of effort in. So the journal literally wasn't ready until we had 4 sales. And then we had to like scramble, get it ready, and send it out to them with an apology. So it's like just always moving one step ahead of where we're ready. And like I've shown before, the vision is the digital Kiki K, which is like, they're such a massive brand. They're our perfect target audience, but they're the ones who want to actually digitally journal, which there's a lot of people, as you can see by these ads, actually. That's the one thing I didn't show. It's the ads. You can see our ads are starting to pick up, find their groove, and get viewed by more and more people. And you can see we've had like 13,000 people see this in, a week. In just over a week, which is like, that's a lot of people searching for digital notebooks. That's a lot. And if we can connect with the right offer, with the right photo, with the right design, with the right price point, it's just going to be a home run. And because obviously it's digital, it's like a no-brainer. And 2 of these sales have actually been organic, which is, you want to power your organic sales with the momentum of your paid sales. So we're sort of moving into that. So I'm very happy. 13 sales is great. And I think we're starting to pick up momentum too. Like you can see, 2 of these sales were in the last 4 hours, 4 of them in the last 7 hours. So it's like very bottom heavy. The momentum's picking up as those ads are being shown by more and more. So I foresee a very good week ahead of us, and adding two extra listings with new designs on here, and probably pulling out those colors and making them their own listing, just so we can split test everything. And I'm maxing out ads every single day, basically no matter what. I want to get on Etsy's side. Oh, the last thing I was going to show you on here was these are our products that will be incoming over the next probably 6 months. And I'll probably try and have an on-ramp because my sister's handling all this, who's very good. She's the perfect person for the job. But she's going to be doing, I think, a product a week, and I'm going to do the marketing of that product.
So good. I'm interested just on price point. Why, like for people watching this, you chose $7.99 and $2.99. Why did you pick those two numbers?
So it's $7.89 to $89. For some reason, I love that 89 over the 99, just because it feels so much further from that next big dollar change. Obviously, the psychology of 89, predictably irrational. I think you have the exact stats or something. It's like it's a mind-blowing amount of people who purchase more having it like 1 cent, 3 cents, or 13 or 11 cents under that dollar, especially creeping up on a big dollar. $7.89 again, it's like creeping up on the 10. You're way under. I did actually start, I think I started at $17 for that first journal, and I think I ran ads for a day on it, and then was like, I think it was 2 days and no sales. So I'm like, what a lot of people do, and actually, I don't know if I can pull this up really quickly. I will. Yeah, this one. A lot of people run banners like this on their Etsy ads. So to build that momentum, that's a good idea. Hot tip. Banners like this one, $1 for the first 100 sales. They just pop that over their listing, and obviously you run ads to it. But in order to build that momentum behind their actual listing and get their sales up there, get the Etsy algorithm to notice it, they bring their price way down early, and then bring it up as demand actually scales, which is something that I'm looking into. And the beautiful thing about Etsy too is I can do that on the side while selling the same journal for $12. So Etsy, it honestly is just like, I almost see it as content marketing, where my sister's creating a piece of content a week, almost like it's a YouTube video, but it's an Etsy journal. And then I'm running ads to test how well it's received. And the ones that are received well, will make more like that. And the ones that aren't, will tweak and change. But the $7.89, I was like, that seems reasonable for what this is. It almost seems on the cheaper side. And ideally, I would like to be the person, once you have a brand name behind it, that is selling it for $17. And the $2.89 one was really like, let's see how many of these we can sell, because these should fly off the shelf at that point. But they didn't, which was very interesting. But also good news.
Just on that, if you said $1 for the first 100 sales, and then you put 62 in stock, so people are jumping in, they can see how many you sold though, so you can't trick them.
They can only see how many store sold. I don't know if they can see how many. I don't know if they see 62 left, but if they do, it's fantastic. You could even put that in the photo or something.
That could be good. Could be a good option. So I'm interested then what your focus is this week. I know you've said Etsy to 60K. So what are you going to be working on between now and next Sunday?
Great question. Etsy. I believe we can get, so we got 13 sales in the last 7 days. I think 4 of them were today. I would like to see us over like 40 to 50 sales at basically close to a break even. I'm looking at other ways to market on Etsy. I want to see how, I want to basically create some tracking. So still in the build phase, I want to track our rankings and see how we can impact our organic reach, because you see like 13,000 people. By the way, we have a $25 a day ad spend, and we spent, I think, like $12 to $16 a day. And we got 13,000 impressions. So the real volume of people looking for these journals are unreal. And I'd like to be able to organically appear in front of them, because that's just absolute free money coming in. So I would like to try and decode that algorithm a little bit and see what moves the needle now that we've got a product there and ready to go. It's honestly the biggest thing for me. And because I will have some more free time, because I'm not heavy in graphic design, I will venture back into the DumbMoney world. and see if I can not be down 10% on one of their stock trades.
I like it. I like it a lot. No,
What about yourself?
Oh, I was going to say, I haven't watched any DumbMoney recently, so I'd be interested to see, because they've got such a good record. And following their trades recently, you've had not much success. So I imagine something's going to happen soon in those trades. But we'll keep focusing on that. For me this week, I'm going to be working on the Amazon store. So we want to essentially get our first product. We're getting a CAD drawing done at the moment, which is some fancy drawing for how they make it. So we're getting that done up at the moment. And then from there, we're going to get our first products sent over to us, flown over. And then once we're happy with that, we're going to be launching the Amazon store as well. And I'm going to be initially putting $3,500 in that. So we'll see how that goes for the initial investment. And then 50% of those profits, because Matt is going to be a 50-50 owner, so 50% of those profits will be continually reinvested into that. So we'll sort of track that over time to see how we can go with that. I may do some more Etsy, but it's kind of in the back of my mind at the moment, because I'm really focusing a little bit more on how do I turn this $34,000 in crypto at the moment, because I feel like the opportunity here is that you can have really large, like huge jumps if you make the right moves. And so I'm trying to understand how to make the right moves. And I think that's going to be very challenging. So for me, it's focusing on learning a little bit more about maybe why the market moves the way it does and why certain coins may be better than others in the long term. And I'm really looking for what are those smaller cap coins, because I'm not so much interested in the bigger cap coins. I think the smaller cap coins have a lot more room to improve and grow. I don't think by investing in Bitcoin, I'm going to make the money I want to make. So how do I pick the smaller coins? Like, how does someone look at those and understand this is actually a viable product long term? Because I think you put 10, 15, 20K in one of those, and you can get a very, very big return on investment over a short period of time. And that allows, you get that investment up to $100,000, and then suddenly you're playing with some real money there. And then another 50% win is $50,000 now. So that's what I'm thinking at the moment. And that's why I'm going heavily into the crypto and taking some bigger risks there, because I'm like, if I take some bigger risks now while we're in a bull market, everything seems to be winning. And when we do have it fall off the cliff, either sort of think about how I can sell it and still do it in a way that makes sense to me, or just hold and wait for the next bull market, because we know that that's going to come as well. And so I am starting to look at things like Google Trends, which I haven't much before, around certain coins, as well as looking at things like inflation and other reasons that people might buy into a coin. So that is where I'll be looking this week, my friends.
I love it. I'm excited to see that update. If you're following along, leave us a comment below if you've ventured into the back alleys of this video with us, and let us know what you're enjoying, what you'd like to see more of. Hit that like button as well. Make sure you subscribe, because this journey has only just begun. And I'm actually happy. If you said week 9 we'd be at 45 and 48, I'll be like, yeah, it's a fantastic start. That next checkpoint for me is really that 60, so I can get back into the playground with my friend Pete. Throw some snow
all
at
the
him.
playgrounds at the moment.
Yeah, all of them at once. But I do enjoy my restraints from time to time. But there's actually a couple of very interesting things that I would definitely be doing at the moment, which I'm excited to do once I get to that 60. So I'll be there soon.
I love it. And one thing I might do is make a short video around why you might pick a dividend stock versus a non-dividend stock. I had a few people reach out to me after I talked about Westfield paying out their dividend the other day. So it's very interesting. I won't do it in this video, but do a short video about like why you may pick it and the advantages to that, and also the disadvantages compared to picking a stock that doesn't really pay a dividend, and the pros and cons of that too. And they're both really interesting. There's no right or wrong there. And I think at different stages in your life, you may pick different stocks for those reasons. So I think I might do a short sort of 3 to 4 minute video explaining that, as well as maybe explaining why I chose Westfield.
I love that. I'd love to see that. Yeah, we'll have lots of cool content coming as well. We are getting an editor, which will free up a little hour a week or so on my end, which I will dedicate to making more content, which will be good. But I'm enjoying this challenge, man. I appreciate you, Peter, because I feel like I'm much more educated now than at the start. And obviously I have a lot of education to go if I want to, 20x my money again.
I think considering considering prior to this, if I could have got a 20% return year on year, I was stoked. So to be, I don't know what percent is that? I haven't even had a look at that. But 60, to be up 63% is just stupid. And I know that there is a lot of crypto in there, which is very volatile, but to be up 63% in 9 weeks, I would never have thought possible. And I would have never taken those risks. I would have never sold what I considered was a reasonably safe crypto index fund if Benji hadn't have gone and got an NFT that went from $2,000 to $35,000 in like a week. And I was like, well, shit, I've got to make some drastic trades here and take some risks. And it's really actually frustrating actually, because I'm like, I want to take another big risk on that MBO, but then I couldn't figure out how to buy it. I would have added another 20% to that 15K. So I'm actually kind of excited by having a portion of money that I'm okay to take risk with, which is out. And again, most of my investments are in very, very safe index funds, very safe investments. But I kind of feel like this is house money now, and I can take some bigger risks. And with bigger risks come bigger rewards. So that for me has been something to take out of this challenge. Is prior to this, I took no risks. I was zero risk. And the second I started losing, I was like, all right, I have to take some big risks here. And I think that for me has been the biggest thing.
Yeah, it's been great. I've enjoyed watching you do it. A word to both myself, you, and everybody watching. This is not financial advice. And it's interesting. Not. It's absolutely not, because you will see some of our bets pay off massive, but you'll also see some of our bets pay off terribly, because like Pete said, more risk, more potential reward, but also more risk of losing. And so if you are following along, you're going to have to be really lucky if you're hitting the right ones or not. But I guess for me, because I'm going to be hitting great ones and then missing great ones, it's just like the education of this in the actual journey, and then moving towards the great ones. And of course, I know everybody knows we'll come back to the ones that everybody says that are, everybody who is successful say is the ones to focus on, is always where you end up back there. But you don't really know that, or you don't feel that until you actually have the experience yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And for me this week, it was selling too large a portion at once when I sold that initial $10,000 of the AXS. But then from that, I learned, well, why don't I dollar cost average it? So as long as we're making a learning here, and I can understand why I'm now changing the strategy a little bit, and I'm excited for that, because I feel like that is going to be a better way to do it moving forwards. Yes,
agreed. Innovating with our lessons.
My man.
Hell yeah, bro.
Next week.
We'll see you sexy people in.
You shall. 60K plus, hopefully.
Oh, yeah.
I promised 10K last time and I did not make it.
No, you said in 2 weeks.
I thought I said 1 week.
You said in the next 2.
All right. Well, then I've only got 2.5 more.
Get risky and frisky. I'm going to make you a shirt.
Risky and frisky. I love it.
And had no sleep. All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you in the next one.
Catch you later.